Hey there, everyone. Welcome to Alert and Oriented RN. Welcome back to the podcast. I'm Tori here with my co-host Luke. Luke, say hi to the people.
What's up, everybody?
So, for nurses, by nurses, if you haven't listened to us before, we're a podcast, nursing podcast focused. We want to talk about the ins and outs of nursing. We want to get down and dirty, down to the nitty gritty, talk about stuff that people don't want to talk about. Keep it lighthearted and fun. Just a platform where we can all relate to each other. Just, because when we talk about it with your friends and family, people have no idea what the hell you're talking about. So we want to be those people. So follow us on Instagram at Alert and Oriented RN. So this episode, we want to do some educational episodes. Nursing is just such a big profession. Luke does pediatric oncology. I specialize in pediatric intensive care. We want to do some more educational features. Specifically, for this episode, we would like to talk about Child Cancer Awareness Month. Childhood Cancer Awareness Month. I mean, we are in September.
What?
We're in September now, so it's the month to go gold, and I want Luke to talk about that. So, Luke, what does it mean to go gold?
To go gold means to bring awareness to pediatric cancer and what these kids and these families go through. So unfortunately, cancer is well documented. We know what it is. And it's an unfortunate disease. And yes, it unfortunately affects kids. The problem is it doesn't get talked about near enough on a yearly basis. And there's not enough education. There's not enough funding. So September is Go Gold Month every year, where we turn the unit gold. It's gold all the time, but we turn the unit gold, we turn the hospital gold, and we turn our community gold to raise awareness for these kids, to raise funding for research and things of that nature. But the big proponent behind it is to spread awareness and education for nurses and other specialties that maybe come across it, the general population, friends and families of these kids, so that they're more aware of what these, immediate families are going through, so that they don't, well, why are you just ignoring us kind of stuff, right? Kind of thing. But September's great. I'm excited about this episode, first special edition episode, and what a bias, obviously, and a little selfish, but perfect timing when we wanted to start this. September right around the corner. Today is September 8th. So, National Oncology Nurses Day. So shout out to all my oncology nurses out there. What you do does not go unnoticed. You're amazing. These kids, these families are grateful for you. Keep kicking cancer's ass, let's just do it. But I just wanted to bring awareness. It wouldn't be my job with this platform, or I wouldn't be doing my job if I didn't use this platform to create awareness. And what was cool is you were talking about that it was going to be awesome because you maybe were going to learn a little bit more than you already do, because being in the ICU, you do work closely with a lot of our kids. Most of the time they see you first before they ever even meet me, because of how they come in or they present. They need ICU level care to get stabilized before they can ever actually go through the grit of oncology treatment. So I just want to get right into it. So pediatric cancer, what does that mean? It's the same disease that affects adults. The only difference is we don't see near the widespread diseases that we see within the adult population. What I mean by that is a lot of the things that kids get diagnosed with, there's no real answer of why. Chromosome abnormalities, other potential chromosome disorders make them more at high risk. So you have like Down syndrome kids are at a higher risk, or any of the other trisomies. But environmental factors aren't really a thing for kids. That you're talking about a 6-month-old that's maybe diagnosed. Well, haven't really been exposed to many things. So, when you talk about an adult that's a longtime smoker, you got diagnosed with lung cancer, it makes sense. It's sad, but it makes sense. Kids, no real rhyme or reason a lot of the times. A little bit of family history, or that comes into play, but again, not a huge correlation between that as well. It's just kind of the best answer a lot of the times that we can give is, I don't know why it happens. It just does. And that's unfortunate. But typically, so the most common pediatric cancer we're going to see is leukemia. 2 subtypes, ALL, AML are the predominant ones. Can be diagnosed from literally birth all the way up into, your mid-20s, upper 20s a lot of times. So when we talk about pediatric cancer, that includes adult, young adult. So we're talking, people over the age of 18 But also you can have a 25-year-old that's diagnosed with pediatric leukemia. It's leukemia, but the way you treat it needs to be on a pediatric level, but this might be a full-grown 25-year-old adult. And then you have your lymphomas, non-Hodgkin's, Hodgkin's lymphoma, all of your brain tumors. That's another very common pediatric cancer. There's subtypes of the brain tumors. And then you have, neuroblastoma, which a lot of people are like, oh, well, neuroblastoma, it's a brain cancer. It's not. It's actually a cancer of the neurosystem. So predominantly, we're going to see it more like the abdomen originating from the spinal cord kind of thing. But yeah, and so, when we talk about this, what's sad is roughly anywhere between 10 to 15,000 kids get diagnosed with cancer between birth and 19 years old. And to anybody that's like, oh, well, that's actually not, it's not as many as I maybe would have thought. Well, guess what? It's 15,000 too many. Mm-hmm. Okay. Any kid diagnosed with cancer is too many. One's too many. And of course, and it's spread out between these things. And so when we look at the incidence, like I said, leukemia is going to be your most predominant pediatric cancer. So we're talking about 28% roughly of all cancers diagnosed in children are going to be leukemia. Followed, a little closely by brain and spinal, like we touched on. There's different kinds and stuff like that, but that's roughly about 26%. And then, kind of drops off a little bit. You got like the neuroblastoma, I was talking about 6%. Wilms tumor, which is a specific kidney, renal type of tumor, is going to be around the 5%. There's other aspects of that cancer that come with, how do you care for that you have to avoid, which is crazy, right? And that's the whole thing is like, how would you ever know somebody with Wilms tumor? Like it changes the way that you assess and treat them because of the type of tumor that it is. But that's not the basis of this podcast. Then you have your lymphomas, your Hodgkin's, non-Hodgkin's, roughly about 3 to 5%, depending on where you look at. The Hodgkin lymphoma, it's funny because that's the one where there are some disparities in age. So Hodgkin's lymphoma is roughly going to affect more kids in their early adulthood. So, upper teens, pubescent kind of thing into early adulthood. And then you have your non-Hodgkin's is going to affect the younger age people, but again, pretty rare to see under age 3 or so. And of course, all of these are treated in the same way to an extent, but also treated extremely different, right? And so it's crazy. I mean, it's a whole different world of how you treat and how you care. But that's the whole point. This whole point of this podcast, this episode, the whole point of September is to know that it does affect these kids, that it's out there, and what do we do about it? So now you know the incidents, you know that it affects kids. The different types. And like I said, I left, a little more out, as it goes down. But there's really only, we're looking at, let me look at my thing. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Not, anywhere from 9 to 11 really cancers that affect kids. And, you can have cancer of almost everything. But the plus is the survival rate has drastically improved. So we're looking at in the mid 70s, right? So this just kind of give you a gist because things in the last, 50 years have drastically changed in this world. In the mid 70s, there's the 5-year survival rate for somebody diagnosed with a pediatric cancer was 58%, barely over half 5-year survival rate. So that's after we've declared them in remission 5 years, they're going to live for 5 more years. As of today, we're at 84%. It's a hell of an increase, and an increase I'm extremely proud of this community about, but it's still way too low. 84%. I mean, 16% of kids are still not living past 5 years after initial diagnosis. So when we talk about initial treatments and stuff like that, and I'll touch on why it's not enough and how we could potentially get to that 100% threshold, and you'll be even thoroughly more impressed at how we even got to 84 when I touch on that. But in typical treatments, you're going to have surgery, right? So if you have some of these solid tumor cancers, first thing to do is go out there and take out as much as you can in any potential organ or body part that it is attached to, right? To get all of that cancer out as best as possible. Some require radiation. So, go in, get scanned. Basically, you don't see anything that happens, but we shoot them with radiation beams to zap that. That's kind of more, you can have a focused approach or you can have a total body approach. And then the main one that everybody knows about is chemo. The sad thing is, and I don't know exactly off the top of my head, but the last chemotherapy developed, tested, and approved for use in children was like in the 1970s.
Oh, wow.
1970s. So okay. We're talking about back when survival rate was 58%. That was the last time they ever developed a new chemotherapy for use in children. 50 years.
That's way too long.
Yeah, 50 years. The plus side is we're starting to develop therapies outside of chemo. So what I talk about is we have bio or immunotherapies. Those are starting to become very useful. They're starting to become more honed in and specific. And what that is those are some therapies that enhance the body, the child's own body to attack the cancer, help it recognize that something's there, and let's kick its ass.
So it's essentially safer.
It is. So it's safer in the fact that the side effects are a little bit less. There's still side effects, and there's other side effects that come with those that don't necessarily come with that. But recovery from them are a little bit quicker. The adverse effects, so you're talking about neurosuppression or, beating up other organs, kidneys, liver, stuff of that nature, a little bit less than chemotherapy. But the goal is to eventually get to a point where this is maybe the gold standard of pediatric cancer treatment, maybe even adult cancer treatment too. To be able, if we can sit here and take somebody's own body, their cells, these immune cells, enhance them to recognize and defeat cancer, the risk of all this other stuff goes drastically down, and length of treatment maybe shortens too. Because we're talking about when you get diagnosed with pediatric cancer, you're talking minimum a year of treatment before, if there's no cancer at that year mark, the oncologist can sit there and be like, hey, you're in remission. But that doesn't stop treatment. There's maintenance. There's all this other stuff to keep it at bay, depending on diagnosis. So we're talking minimum of a year for high intensity hospital admissions, frequent clinic visits, things of that nature. The other thing I like to talk about, because like I said, bringing awareness to this, is to talk about, how did we get here? How did we get from 58% to 84% 5-year survival rate? It's purely a lot of it off of doing a podcast like this, creating awareness, all these organizations, private organizations putting on events, spreading awareness, getting that funding, because pediatric cancer, and this is our main thing. So anytime in September, if you ever see something tagged with this hashtag, know why, and it's going to upset you. Pediatric cancer receives 4% of funding, research funding into cures, treatments, all of this stuff that comes with it from the National Cancer Institute. 4%. 96% goes to adult cancer. Now, given a lot more cancers in the adult world, there's a lot more adults out there. But 96% to 4%, why do these kids only deserve 4%? The reason we've gotten to 84% from 58 is because of organizations like the Children's Oncology Group. Gold standard of care. They put forth protocols that have been tried and true, researched. They're adjusted as we go on, that tell you step by step how to treat this diagnosis with what drug, on what day, other things that you need to throw in there, labs, results, stuff of that nature to monitor. And you just follow it to a T with, like I said, adjustments being made. An incredible organization that put forth all of these treatment standards that are followed by institutions all over the country. Then you also have APON, which is the American Pediatric Hematology Oncology Nurses Foundation. They work in combination with COG, provide all of the patient and family education. Their research, check out their website, apon.org or apon.com. I think either one will take you there. And they have free resources that just break down in layman's terms, 6th grade education, what this type of cancer is, how it gets treated, and stuff, what it is. It's amazing. And, and between APON and COG now, they even have an app you can put on your phone to directly get up the manual or everything with those things. And then, of course, a lot of the people know about, St. Jude. St. Jude is a huge organization within our world. They do tremendous work, tremendous things, research, treatments, all of that nature. But any organization that you're going to see, or any institution in the United States that treats pediatric cancer, they're all incredible in what they do on a daily basis. And so part of this month is also a shout out and a recognition for those nurses, those doctors, those patient care techs, anybody else, those rehab specialists that work with pediatric oncology. Because what you do does not go unnoticed. It doesn't go unnoticed by your coworkers. I have the best coworkers in the world. Shout out to all of them, because they're literally incredible. The unit and the care that we provide is exceptional. It's top notch. The oncologists that we work for are incredible, and the trust that they put in us to carry out what is best for this child, and trust in us and what we report back to them, is bar none. It's amazing. It's truly a team approach, and that's what you're going to find pretty much anywhere you go with this. But this month is special to me. It means a lot. I look forward to going gold. By the time this episode has come out, if you've already started to follow along on my private Instagram page or anything like that, you have already seen my special edition shoes for this year. So every year I get a new pair of gold shoes made. This year, unbelievably special to me, very touching, heartwarming, symbolic. So go back and check that out. Check out my post from that because, man, I'm very excited about it. And it was really incredible. And it was more for the kids. They look forward to what shoes is Luke going to wear this year. Coworkers too, well, what's he going to do? And the night just goes, I got weird shoes all the time. That's what it's about, changing these kids' lives, changing these families' lives, bringing awareness, bringing education. So, nothing super too in depth and stuff like that. But at the same time, the point that, like I said, this was a great platform to do was because we wanted to create it. But at the same time, I touched on it. You work with these kids too. You're not an oncology nurse, You go gold in September because, like I said, the hospital has no choice. They have to. It's just they're just not going to tell us no. But like I said, most of the time these kids, they see you before they ever meet me. Mm-hmm. They need to be stabilized in an ICU setting before we can ever even start actually treating the underlying cause. And I wouldn't be doing my job as the specialist nurse that I am in this field if I didn't continually help to educate you or bring resources to you. But at the same time, I also have to say your care that you provide, that your colleagues in the ICU provide for our kids, our families, whether it's initial diagnosis or they end up back on your floor in the middle of treatment, does not go unnoticed from us. And we greatly appreciate the way that you care and you love for these kids and the relationships you build with them as well too. So I wanted you to know that. I wanted your colleagues specifically to know that too. And that goes for everybody at our facility that we work at that has anything to do with our kids or come in contact with them. It doesn't go unnoticed. It's incredible. These families love you. These patients love you. I love you. We all love you. This month is special. It's super special. And like I said, it's sad, 4% of funding, like I touched on, but these organizations, and it could be local, it could be, rural and stuff like that. And what I mean by that is, you have your specific groups in your certain city or something like that, right? A family that was affected by this and started a foundation. But then you also have kind of more your, regional, I guess you could say, things. And then you have your national institute. So I always encourage everybody, if there's an event going on, participate. If you have even just a few dollars to spare, anything like that, donate it, because it's these private organizations that are directly affecting pediatric cancer research. 100% of their money goes back into that because these kids and these families just do not receive the funding they're supposed to from, the big government agencies or these big institutions that you would think. So it's a lot of it just comes from these small organizations, and a lot of it isn't necessarily developing treatments. It's providing groceries, it's providing snacks, providing laundry service, gift cards to just places that are common things so that when they go home, it's one less thing they have to worry about. But at the same time, too, unfortunately, cancer treatment's expensive. These families, it's not just that their child is diagnosed with cancer, it's life doesn't stop outside of that. So now think about all these other things most people deal with on a daily basis, and then throw the big C word in there for their little baby. So these organizations are important. Local, regional, nationwide, doesn't matter. They're important. Get out there, spread awareness, go gold, wear it all month, all year. I don't care. September is just the big month, but wear gold all year. Talk about it, spread awareness, advocate. And if you ever meet somebody that's an oncology nurse or an oncology patient or a family, just love them. Just love them because these kids and these families, they need it. I'm not saying that my specialty is any better than anybody else. We're not, but it's special. I mean, I wouldn't do anything else. Never wanted to do anything else. This is what I've always wanted to do. So this month is very passionate for me, if you can't tell. But I appreciate you, Tori, for kind of giving me this episode to do this. Again, National Oncology Nurses Day, September 8th today. Love you guys. Love the kids. But yeah, just talk about it. Talk about it. Talk about it. Talk about it. Let's change it. Let's get that 84% up to 100%. The day that I live for the day somebody tells me, Luke, you don't have a job anymore. Pediatric cancer does not exist. You need to go find another job. And I'll walk straight out and go apply. I will not even put up an argument. I will not fuss. But because this is a thing, I love my job. I love going to work. I love doing it. But man, I look forward to the day that somebody tells me that I can't do it. I just can't. It doesn't exist. It doesn't exist. And I won't argue. But yeah, I mean, like I said, it's an educational episode. It kind of took it over there, but questions, anything that, I mean, what have you learned? I mean, 3.5 years.
I learned a lot. I didn't really know about the whole neuroblastoma, about it. I mean, I always thought it was like, I knew it was like a neuro thing.
Yeah.
I knew it was a neurological thing, and I've taken care of some of your kids that have neuroblastoma, but I didn't know that it pretty much originated kind of like, it's more like a nervous system in the spinal cord and all that.
Yep.
That's incredible. No, I learned so much because, Luke, I knew Luke wanted to do like a Go Gold episode. I mean, like he said, we would not be doing his job, his specialty justice if we didn't talk about it on our platform. That's why we created this platform. So I was like, oh, go for it. Talk about it the whole time. Like, I don't know if you caught me, but I was like, wow, yeah. I didn't know that when you were saying certain things. It fires me up,
man. It fires me up. September is, when it comes to a calendar, September is the first month of the year for me. Has been for 4.5 years, but even more so it's for a little bit longer. Because like I said, it was just a matter of, I got to get to nursing. You got to get older. You got to go through school, get there, and I'm going to do it. And now I'm doing it. So September it's great. It's a party. It's awareness. It's love. It's research. It's treatment. It's what these kids deserve, and they deserve it all. They're not getting enough of it yet, but we're going to get there. We're going to get there. Like I said, I hope I have to retire from nursing 20 years before I planned on it, because I can't do this kind of nursing anymore.
And it is also interesting when thank you for the shout out to my critical care peeps about, you appreciate us, because, it's really scary when Luke's kids, and I say Luke's kids because he establishes a real relationship with these families because they're on the floor for so long. And so like he said, they go into treatment, they're, in and out of treatment for about a year. So they know their kids very well. They know their families. They know what sports they play. They know extended families. So whenever we get some of their kids, first off, they come to us, the family is like, oh my God, like we have to go to the ICU. Like what, are we going to know the nurses there? Are they going to be as, attentive as ours are? Can we build a relationship with them? The first thing I always do, the first thing never fails to establish a relationship with this kiddo is I say, okay, as I start naming nurses that I know, and I'm always like, hey, Alex, or so-and-so, you like baseball, this, that, and the other. Like, I know Luke. And that's always like my first thing. I'm like, Luke is one of my best friends. And then from then on, it's like, I establish that rapport with the family.
Yeah.
And so it's nice being like, okay, they're like, okay, so it is a little tighten it up here. Like, you guys do get it. Maybe you guys actually do know what we're going through, because that's important to the family, to establish that rapport with them so that way they trust you with their kids. Yeah. And so that's always one of the first things that I do.
That's the number one you're taught in nursing. And it's even more so when you have kids going through something like this, because it's about to be a year of hell. And there's no way to put it. It's about to be a year, maybe plus, of absolute hell. And if they don't trust you, if they don't like you, it's weird, because it's like, you work in pediatric cancer. How do you go to work with a smile every day? If you met these kids, you would understand it's real easy. It's real easy to go to work with a smile every day, to bring some energy, to have some fun. When they're feeling good, the energy on the unit is, it's intoxicating. It's just, it's hard not to just let it overtake you. And man, when they get to ring that gold bell and walk out of there, and you get to say, hey, most people say see you later because they hope to see you. And you get to sit there and say, man, honestly, I'll be perfectly fine if I never see you again, because I work in the hospital and the only way you're coming back is if something happened. That's amazing. And of course they write letters, they send pictures, they come visit when they can. And that's even best, because you might not see this kid for 6 months after treatment, and they come back and they're completely different. The way they look, they got their hair's back, their muscles back. They look like a completely different person. And you're like, oh my God, like, you go, keep going.
I think I've only cried maybe 2 times at work in my entire career. One of them was like not even nursing related, like something personal was going on. So, but another time was when I floated to the oncology unit and we had one of your patients ring the bell.
Yeah.
And it was just an incredible, I mean, just this little ceremony that they had for her. I was like, wow. I think I was like, wow, I get it. Like, I get why you're so passionate about these kids and these families and what they do. It's because of that moment right there that you know it's achievable.
It's what you work for. It's what you work for. The bell ringing ceremony is, it's a culmination of a lot of hard work between a lot of people. And it's a symbolic of bad days, good days, symbolic of love, of trust. And man, when they ring it loud, it gives me goosebumps. It gives me goosebumps talking about it. It gives me goosebumps every time they ring it. It's incredible. It's incredible. And this month, like I said, get out there, learn. I mean, even if you're not involved in this kind of nursing care, it doesn't hurt to learn what these families go through, learn what you can do, spread awareness. Because the thing is even if you're not directly related and you learn just a little bit, maybe it comes up in conversation sometime in your life, and it's a conversation with the right person, and all of a sudden it drastically changes this specialty, whether that's monetarily or research or treatments and things like that. I mean, you never know, and not enough people know about it. A lot of people don't want to know about it because they're like, cancer in kids? That's so sad. No, you need to talk about it. These kids deserve that. But again, like I said, special edition, special episode, September 8th, Go Gold Month, Oncology Nurses Day. Oh, there's nothing better. And I appreciate you letting me have our platform to do this.
Oh, of course.
So,
I know how much it means to you. Yeah.
Appreciate it.
Absolutely. Yeah. So we're going to be blasting our Instagram and our social media all month for you guys to go gold. So please, share, like, subscribe, post about it, talk about it. Only 4%, y'all, of federal funding goes to pediatric.
Yeah. Hashtag more than 4. So yeah, you're a fool if you don't go gold. It's just plain and simple. Absolute fool if you don't go gold. But anyway, love you guys. Thanks for listening.
Love you guys.
Peace.
Peace.